Coming up,
the sleeping giants of advertising. Everything from the Jolly Green Giant to Toucan Sam.
Pillsbury Doughboy.
These characters largely seem to have gone away to me.
You're listening to The Pod Couple, where John Amisotti and Barbara Lippert debate all things media culture.
Hello, welcome to another episode of The Pod Couple. I'm John Amisotti.
I'm Barbara Lippert.
All right, and we're going to talk about all things advertising media because we know so much about it.
Right, who else?
Right. Today's topic, the sleeping giants of advertising. Are there any? And I would say there is. We've talked about Hollywood in other episodes, and to really make money, Hollywood now has really gone to some old characters in a lot of cases. We're just seeing installment after installment of Batman, Superman, Fantastic Four, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. People like these characters. Advertising, on the other hand, a lot of brands that were out there that were built around these iconic characters. Everything from the Jolly Green Giant to Toucan Sam,
Right.
Count Chocula, et cetera. We don't see him doing much with
Pillsbury
those.
Doughboy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Maytag Repairman.
Flo.
And there's
Right.
a good
There's
example.
a new one.
There's a
Yeah.
character who's out there that we do see a lot.
But in general, I have a theory about this that, they're great for social media because you can animate them, and they're great for AR and everything else, these little characters. But I think that pharma ads have ruined these characters for me. Like, I think of Digger, digging into that toenail. For Lamisil.
Pharmaceutical ads.
Yeah. So while they're interesting and memorable, it's like is it a bladder that follows you around town?
I think he was the colon that was
Or the colon, yeah.
something.
So it's either the bladder or the colon. So
I mean, I don't necessarily want to see a television show about the peppy colon.
Right.
But I do think, in other ways, Toucan Sam, Maytag Repairman, Pillsbury Doughboy, those were brilliant advertising ideas that really took parody products, brought them to a new level, built giant companies, built some of the most successful ad agencies in the world. And there was a time, like I would say, when I started in the 80s, and I worked at Leo Burnett.
Right. Leo Burnett, let's say, is the home of the great
They would call
advertising
the critters,
mascots.
And they made a fortune for themselves and
Right.
for their clients. But at that time, there was almost a shame in being the critter
Right.
company.
Right.
And they did everything they could to walk away from these. And I'd have to say now in this world of advertising, they would do anything to be back and doing those. And any agency wishes they would have that. It was...
I know, like when the 4As first came and did advertising week starting, say, 10 years ago, the only thing that people wanted to see were the characters marching. And they always started out
Sure.
with that. Yeah.
And it's always been a valuable ad tool. I mean, a lot of people will kind of turn their nose up at it or these things, but the Geico lizard, Flo
Yeah.
for Progressive, these are brilliant ideas, and they really do a great job what Hollywood knows. When you have something, you run and you run and you run and you run with it forever versus like trying to do the one-offs that, I mean, if you're an insurance company right now, for example, that doesn't have a character, you're kind of forgotten or you're on the back burner.
That's why I was surprised when what company got rid of all the Peanuts characters?
Oh, right. That was, see, now you can't really remember the name of the company.
MetLife.
MetLife actually did.
So I didn't think that was a good, because I think kids grow up with Peanuts and then as adults, then they still identify warmly and nostalgically with that company.
Well, completely. I mean, we had a nice argument about Pokemon Go one day, but the point that was made on it was there are people with a nostalgia for that character and it can make something happen. So you could look at that as an example of like, again, Fruit Loops, Cheerios, Toucan Sam, these characters largely seem to have gone away to me.
And also another one, I mean, did Verizon guy go to, can you hear me now, go to Sprint?
Right. Actually, a great example.
Well, it's getting a lot of pickup, but I don't like it. You sort of bring back Verizon with it. And I think it's, again, talk about sequelitis. It's really tired if another brand has to pick up another brand's mascot.
But nonetheless, I mean, the fact that there is something in a character, whereas maybe Sprint would have no message without going to that.
Yeah,
desperate
how sad
or not,
is that?
but,
Yeah, it's only 1% cheaper.
Right. And again, I mean, if I really looked at these things as a business person point of view, you have a lot of these companies that did use them. The cereal companies were largely built off these. But even toilet paper with Mr. Whipple.
Yeah.
You had
Time to make the donuts.
Madge with the
Madge
dishwashing.
you're soaking in it.
There are all these, and if they haven't been replaced with something better, why don't you update these characters with something new? You could take them to social media. You could use them more effectively on Facebook. Actually, a great example of somebody who updated and did it very well, a company that wasn't doing well, is Kentucky Fried Chicken.
I was just going to say
Brilliantly.
that really, it's like to have 3 different Colonel Sanders in the course of 6 months really kind of made me sad. What do you think now of George Hamilton in the crispy guy?
I think he's terrific because it was very hard for KFC to get like any foothold out there forever. I actually, in all disclaimer, I worked on that.
On the other hand, it's kind of great that they could admit defeat and say, "Okay, we're going with someone new," and they're not like it's not like on Bewitched where they replaced the Darrens and tried to make you think nothing happened.
I think it's it's part of the in joke. It's pretty cool that.
But it's like George Hamilton making fun of himself, or is he really being the Colonel?
I think he is, but I think people are just like appreciating the fact that it's like, first of all, anybody who puts on the white suit and the hair is the Colonel. They don't seem to take themselves seriously with this, but people talk about KFC ads again, and I don't think that was happening for very many years. And
that's true.
I'm not privy to their sales results, but I'm sure that the fact that we keep seeing it, they're having a boost, and that's a good thing.
And it's not borrowed interest. It's baked into the brand, as they say.
It's a character that's part of it. So again, if people would say, what are the sleeping giants of advertising? I would say put away your preconceived notions about critters aren't hip or cool and look at KFC, look at some of these others.
Yeah.
With that, things that are hot this week. I'll segue right into it. The movie Suicide Squad, maybe the reviews have been a little bit mixed, but there's a character on there that sort of has broke out, Harley Quinn. She's played by Margot Robbie. She's a sexy, crazy girlfriend, ex-girlfriend of the Joker. I think what's interesting about her, in particular, this wasn't an original character developed for the movie, wasn't even written in the comic books. She was written in the animated series and changed and has kind of become a cool breakout feminist, crazy character.
Yeah.
Great character, and I'm sure we'll see more of her.
Yeah, that's hard to be a sexy feminist. There was an issue when they interviewed her in Esquire.
I'm not touching that one.
Yeah.
But
but I think it's great.
So.
I think it's great that she brings all that to the screen, and everybody, both men and women, love her.
Right.
Well, let's see. We're going to get to guilty pleasures at some point, but this is a real guilty one. Below Deck.
Mm-hmm.
It's on Bravo, and it's one of those things that runs at 2 a.m. when you can't sleep.
Reality show.
But it's a crew on a huge luxury yacht. The kind that costs, I don't know, $30,000 a week, $40,000 a week. I'm not sure how much it is to rent. And these really awful, usually, crowds of, 1%ers rent it. And it's all upstairs, downstairs. It's the people who work on the boat versus the people upstairs.
Mm-hmm.
And the crew, like with the cook and all of the others, are really interesting. And they do everything on camera.
All right. So kind of a turnabout thing. This week I'm going to recommend a feminist hero, and you're going to recommend people having sex on a boat.
Exactly.
Very nice. We flipped it around.
That's why we're here.
All right. Well, thanks for being here again this week. And
my pleasure.
Let's get together and do another episode next week.
Love it.
All right. Thanks, Barbara.
For more Pod Couple, you can subscribe on iTunes. You can find us on YouTube. We're on Twitter @Pod Couple and on Facebook. And we have a website, thepodcouple.com.
The Pod Couple is media experts John Masodi and Barbara Lippert, produced by Eon Content Labs and brought to you by Epsilon. We see what others don't. All comments, discussions, materials, and information provided by participants in the Pod Couple are strictly their own opinion and do not constitute any official position or views of Epsilon. Please refer to our terms of use for more information.